All right, everybody, what's going on? And welcome to today's edition of Swag Talk. This is the show we call the Swag Inside and Out. Before we begin, apologies for my voice. I'm still under the weather. Um, braved the elements yesterday. Well, the weather was great. I don't mean it like that, but went out to the Legacy Bowl yesterday, so still not quite where I need to be voice wise. But I wanted to go ahead and continue my series breaking down the SWAC standings after each day of men's action. Um, Before we do anything, I'm gonna have my thoughts on the Legacy Bowl probably coming tomorrow. Shout out and prayers go out to Davis Richard. He suffered an injury in that game, so I'm gonna share my thoughts on all of that stuff tomorrow. But today is SWAC basketball, so we're gonna talk SWAC basketball men's standings and my thoughts on the race and how things gonna finish. Also, I have my newest power rankings up on bustingbrackets.com. You can also find the link on my socials, which are Swag Talk, Facebook Swag Talk, Instagram Swag Talk, Twitter Swag Talk 76. Also, you can subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, and feel free to share your thoughts about the SWAC race and who you think going to come out on top when we get to the tournament. So let's go ahead and jump directly into this. We're not gonna be here too long. Like I said, I don't know how long my voice gonna hold up. So I want to go ahead and get this put together for y'all. So we're gonna start off like I always do at the bottom. What I did this week and what I'm gonna do, what I did today and what I'm gonna do moving forward is I'm gonna instead of using the team rankings and the projected finish and all of that stuff, I'm gonna give you my thoughts on who's gonna finish where and what their final record is gonna be and what seed I think they're gonna end up in. So which we'll change this after every set of games. We'll change this and adjust it as we see fit. So starting off at the number 12 spot is the Mississippi Valley Delta Devils. They finished. They lost yesterday to Texas Southern, so they dropped to 0-14. They are out of the tournament race. Obviously, I picked them to finish in the 12th spot, but I picked them to pick up a victory. I think they're going to win at least one game before the season is over with. So I'm projecting them to finish 1-17 and 1-3 in their last four. I think they'll beat Prairie View on Monday. I think the Delta Devils have to get a win, and if they're going to get one, I think that's their best chance. Otherwise, they have Pine Bluff and Jackson State and Alcorn. So they have a tough finish. So they need to, if they want to win a game, they're probably gonna have to win that game at home against Prairie View before they do anything else. Because other than that, they have all games on the road after that. So this is their last home game on Monday. So if they want to get a win, it's probably have to be that one. So they're gonna finish in the 12th spot regardless. Number 11 is FAMU. They're 3-11 right now. They beat Bama State on Saturday, so they at least have picked up a win. They still have some slim hopes of catching finishing in the top 8. They're gonna have to win out most likely, and they're gonna need a lot of help. So I don't think they're gonna make it. So I really don't think they're probably gonna win another game this season. I have them finishing at 3-15, 0-4 in their last four. I think they'll lose to Bama A&M, Grambling, Southern, and Bethune-Cookman, all those games. I think they'll drop those games at the end of the season and finish in the 11th spot. 10th spot is Prairie View. I have them they're 5-9 right now, coming off of a loss to Pine Bluff. I think they're going to finish 0-4 and finish 5-13. I predicted Valley to beat them, so they have Valley, Texas Southern, Jackson State, and Alcorn left on their schedule. In this order, they go to Valley on Monday. They have Alcorn and Jackson State the next weekend, and then they close out at Texas Southern. So they have 2 games at home, 2 on the road. 3 tough games against teams who are fighting for a top 4 spot, and a Valley team who I think is going to upset them. So that's why I had the Panthers finishing at number 10 at 5-13, 0-4 in their last 4 games. Now we get to the teams who I really think are battling it out. So I think there are 9 teams fighting for 8 spots. I really, you can say 3 teams fighting for 1 spot because I think most teams are in. I would say the 7, 8, 9 teams are the ones that are fighting for that last spot. Other than that, I think everybody's pretty safely in. So number 9 right now is Pine Bluff. They are tied with Alabama A&M and Alabama State right now. All those teams are 7-7. The Bulldogs right now they will hold a tiebreaker over A&M over both teams because they swept Pine Bluff, and right now they have a victory over oh no, excuse me. Right now they went. Let me start over. With a three-team tie or more, the tiebreaker first is your combined record over the other team that you're tied with. So A&M will win that tiebreaker because they are 2-1 against the three teams. So they would have the they would have the 8th spot. I mean, they would have the 7th spot. Bama State would win the tiebreaker over Pine Bluff because they beat them. They split the series, and they point differential was 3 points better than Pine Bluff in the margin of victory. So Pine Bluff will be the 9 team right now, and so they will be number 9. I predict them to finish at 8-10. I think they'll win one more game. They finish out with they finish out with Texas Southern on Monday. They get Valley and Jack. I can't talk. They finish out at home against Texas Southern and Valley. Then they go to Alcorn and Jackson. So I think they'll win one out of those 4 games and finish at 8-10. That puts them at number 9 in a tiebreaker with Bama State, who I predict to finish at number 8. And because of that, I think they'll miss out on the tournament due to that losing that tiebreaker with that 3-point differential in the margin of victory. My number 8 team is obviously Bama State. They'll win that tiebreaker. I think they'll also finish 1-3 in their last 4 games. I think they'll beat Bama A&M on in their matchup next week, and they'll lose to Bethune-Cookman on Monday. They lost to FAMU, so losing to Bethune-Cookman is not. It wouldn't be a surprise. But then losing to Southern and Grambling to close out the season at 8-10, tied with Pine Bluff, but they would win the tiebreaker because of their margin of victory, and they would get that final spot in the tournament at number 8 with an 8-10 record. The Bulldogs at A&M, I think they'll finish 9-9, so they'll get out of that tie. Right now, they're tied in that mix at 7-7, but I think they'll go 2-2 in their last 4 games. I think they'll beat FAMU and Southern and lose to Bama State and Grambling to close out their season with a 2-2 finish to go 9-9 in conference and get that 7th spot, which would get them solidly in the tournament. I think they're a team who can be, they can be a dangerous team. They don't really have a great offense, but they have guys that can score. They have big bodies inside, and they can be a dangerous team in a one and done situation. But they also can get eliminated early because their offense is not that great, and they're playing without their leading scorer. So that also hampers their ability to put points on the board. They don't really have a great flow on their offense, but they can kind of make some things happen. So that's why I think they'll be a 9-9 team and make the tournament by the skin of their chins. Right now, sitting at number 6 is Jackson State. I predict them to finish at number 5 at 11-7. I think they'll go 3-1 in their last 4 games. I think they'll beat Prairie View when they play them next week, and close out with victories against Pine Bluff and Valley, and lose to Texas Southern. So I think that'll give them an 11-7 finish and put them at number 5. Really, really good spot for them. I mean, this is a team who've been up and down. They had a lot of injuries. Had that 4-game losing streak. They had a 4-game winning streak snapped against Alcorn on Saturday. So they've shown that they can put together wins, and I think they can put together enough wins at the end of the season to get in the tournament. And I think they can put together 3 wins to win the tournament. So even at a 5 seed, I think this is a dangerous opponent. I wouldn't sleep on them. Yeah, I think they have a good chance of making some noise when they get to the tournament. The team that's sitting at number 5 in the standings right now, also at 8-6, they're tied with Jackson State. They do hold a tiebreaker over Jackson State because they beat them by by more points than Jackson State beat them. So the Bethune-Cookman holds that tiebreaker. I have them predicted to finish at 10-8. They beat Bama A&M on Saturday, so I think they'll finish 2-2 and finish at 10-8. I think they'll beat Bama State on Monday and beat FAMU to close out that season, and they'll lose their 2 road games in Louisiana next week against Grambling and Southern, and that'll get them a 2-2 finish and put them at 10-8 and give them the that'll put them at the 6th spot behind Jackson State by 1 game. So Bethune-Cookman, I think, is a team who they can. I don't think that they're outmanned in those 2 games that they can lose that I predicted to lose, but I don't think they're a great road team, and so that kind of plays against them. But they are a team who can shoot. They can drive. They have some good size, and they are very scrappy. So I wouldn't count them out on winning games, especially the game next Saturday against a Southern team that's lost 3 straight. So if there's any one of those 2 games I think that they can steal on the road, it would be that Saturday game, because I don't know what Southern's mentality is coming into that game off of their 2nd straight loss against Grambling and the 2nd straight loss overall, and just losing in the fashion that they've lost those last 2 games. Maybe they're reeling a little bit. Bethune-Cookman might be able to steal that game. If they do, that would give them a even better chance to finish in a top 5 spot. So they're not out of a top 5 spot, but right now, for my predictions, I have them at number 6. The number excuse me, the number 4 team right now in the standings is Alcorn. I have them finishing at 3rd at 13-5. That would actually put them in a tie for 2nd, but they would lose the tiebreaker to Southern because Southern beat them in their only matchup, so they would get the 3rd seed. They'll finish 13-5. I think they'll go 4-0 in their last 4 games. They get Texas Southern and Prairie View next week. I think they can beat both of those teams. They've already beaten both of those teams. So I don't. Excuse me. They lost to Texas Southern and beat Prairie View the first time, but I do think they can beat TSU. I don't think that's an impossible game. So I think they can finish 4-0 with those 2 victories and then beating Valley and Pine Bluff to close out the season, giving them a 13-5 record and tied for 2nd place, but they will ultimately get the 3rd seed. This team is starting to get hot at the right time. They've won 5 games in a row. I think they can close out strong and get in. Winning 9 in a row to get in the tournament is a stretch, but this is my predictions. I love Coach Bussey and I love his team, so I may be a little bit higher on them than some people, but I think that they have the ability to get there, and I think they can finish in a top 3 spot. A number 3 team in the standings right now is Texas Southern. They're tied with Alcorn at 9-5, but I think they'll finish 4th. Like I said, I think the difference in these 2 teams is that 1 game next week between those 2 teams. I think Alcorn wins that game and they go to 13-5. TSU drops to 12-6 and the 4 seed. TSU, I think they finished 3-1 in their last 4 games. I think they'll beat Jackson State. I think they'll beat Pine Bluff on Monday. And like I said, I think they'll beat Prairie View to close out the season and finish at 12-6 and get in the tournament as a 4 seed. This team can win it all. Like I said, I don't count TSU out until they eliminated from the tournament. They've won it in every way that you can win it, and until somebody knocks them out, I'm going to always give them a benefit of the doubt. So I think that getting in as a 4 seed, that's a tough 1st round matchup for anybody, and that's a tough 2nd round matchup for anybody. So I think that you want to kind of avoid that team until late, preferably until the championship, or hopefully somebody else knocks them out and you don't have to deal with them. Like I said, the number 2 team right now in the standings is Southern, and I think they're finishing that 2 spot. I think they'll finish tied with Alcorn at 13-5. They'll finish 3-1 in their last 4 games, and I do have them beating Bethune-Cookman right now. I also have them beating FAMU and Bama State. I think they'll drop that Bama A&M game at the end of the season because I just don't like that matchup between those 2 teams. A&M has a lot of big bodies, and they play pretty physical, and that's not Southern's game. everybody else that Southern plays, they can kind of match them athletically, um, and they can get inside and score, and they can shoot pretty well from outside at times. But when you force them to be a physical team, or you make the game what they don't want it to be, they can't finish a game that way. I do think, like I said, put a pin in that Bethune-Cookman game. That could be a game that they could drop out of the 3 games that they win. And Bama State could also, but right now, like I said, I think they'll win. They'll find a way to scrap those 3 wins and finish at 13-5 and tie with Alcorn, and they would win the tiebreaker because they are 1-0 against Alcorn in their only meeting. And that leads me to my last team, the #1 team, the team that I think is going to win it all, and that's Grambling. Second time they beat Southern, second time they had to come from behind by double digits, and they did it, and they just continue to find a way to win in those games. I think they'll finish out 4-0, and I think they'll win the 2 home games against the Florida schools, and I think they'll win the 2 games on the road in Bama and finish at 15-3. I don't think Grambling's going to lose another game this season, and I think they're going to win the tournament. They're my odds-on favorite to win the tournament, and nothing that they've done this far has shown me any other reason to feel any other way. I think this is a really good team. I think they can make some noise if they get in the tournament. I like Grambling's basketball team. I like their coaches and staff. I like everything about this team, and I think that they'll continue to get better as the season goes on. And I think they're hungry to win it all after making it to the end last season and not getting over the hump. So I think that they have a lot to prove, and I think they'll prove that now. And they'll finish out at 15-3, get in the first round, get in and make it and win. So that's my projections right now. Again, running through it. I have Grambling finishing at the 1 seed, Southern finishing at the 2 seed, Alcorn at 3, TSU at 4, Jackson at 5, Bethune-Cookman at 6, Alabama A&M at 7, Bama State at 8, Pine Bluff at 9, barely missing the tournament, and then Prairie View, FAMU, and Valley finishing out at 10, 11, and 12. So obviously, my first round games would be Alabama A&M versus Grambling. That's a very interesting matchup because A&M beat Grambling once already, so that they do have the ability to beat them. Southern and Bama State would be my first round matchup there. I mean, excuse me, Grambling and Alabama State would be the first round matchup. 1 and 8, and then Southern and Alabama A&M would be the 2 and 7 matchup. That's an interesting matchup. Like I said, the Bulldogs match up well with Southern physically. I think they can, knock them around and make things a little bit difficult for them. Alcorn and Bethune-Cookman is an interesting matchup. Bethune-Cookman lost to Alcorn twice. They fell behind by double digits both times. One time they came back and made a game out of it. The other time they didn't. So that would be an interesting matchup there. And then TSU and Jackson State. That's another good matchup. So I think those are 4 good first round matchups, and I think those are all matchups that the lower seed could pull an upset. So I'm interested to see how this tournament goes. And like I said, we'll do this again on Tuesday after the Monday games. Hopefully my voice is a little bit better. I can go a little bit more in depth. I didn't want to push it too much, but with that being said, man, I'm your tour guide around the SWAC Sewell signing out, and we're gonna catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.